All right, guys, you've been living in Costa Rica as perpetual tourist. You remember what that is. You have to leave every 9 days, that passport thing back and forth. But you've been here a while and you want to make a commitment. You want to get your residency. But maybe you don't want to run back to your country to get your birth certificate and your FBI card that says you've never been arrested. All that paperwork that you need to get your residency. I think we might have a solution, and we're going to get to it in a minute. Hey, guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Hey, man, if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's very helpful. If you want to see videos as we put them up, hit the notification bell. And if you really want to help and you're not going to donate, see what I did there? Please, the word of the day on YouTube is engagement. So if you could thumbs up the video, thumbs down. Michael, I hate your white shirt. Laura, you were great. But any kind of comments would be great. It really helps give the video a little bit of legs. Hey, man, we're at our relocation retreat down in Estados Este. It's about halfway between Manuel Antonio and Jaco. There's going to be another one coming up. Don't have the dates yet, but I'm just saying. Anyway, let's get to it. All right, this is Laura. Thank you so much for talking to us. Tell me okay, let's just do it this way. I've been living in Costa Rica as a perpetual tourist, let's say for a year and a half. I'm tired of going back and forth. I don't want to go up. I'm stressed every time. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get back in the country. Yeah. I want to get my residency, but I know all that paperwork, man. I don't want to fly back.
And it's also expensive. You have to get on the flight. You have to go into the administrative office. You have to get the document. You have to wait for it to be apostilled or legalized, depending on the country.
Yeah, tell that word again, apostille.
So the apostille, it's part of a convention. It's an international convention that some countries have, not every country. Canada is one of the biggest exceptions that we always talk about. But also Canada, I believe it's going to start using the apostille.
So it's like a notary. It's just somebody saying it's a professional, that signature is real.
Yeah, I like to think about it in the sense that the people that work in our governments, they have no idea. If I'm here in Costa Rica and you bring me a Chinese document, I have no idea of knowing if that's real. So a lot of countries decided to make an easier way for them to know if it's a real document. And they just decided it's not even a stamp. It's more like they staple a little document that says, hey, this is real. And because we are all part of this convention, you have to accept that it's real.
Okay, so I call you, help me get my documents. What's going to happen?
Well, the first thing I'm going to ask you, and this is very important, even though I study law, I'm still not a lawyer. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, have you talked to your lawyer? Has he or she told you what documents do you need for your specific residency or citizenship process?
So like the different categories. If you guys don't know, there's about 4 or 5 ways to get your residency. It could be pensionado, which just means basically your social security check or disability check that's guaranteed by the government. It could be an investor category where you invested $150,000. It could be rentista. So there's different categories.
There's different categories. And with the categories, there's also different documents. So yeah. The first thing that I'm going to probably ask you is to see if you have in any instance of your life changed your name, because that's very important. The Costa Rican immigration officer or any other immigration officer in any country, they have to see a correlation between the name on your birth certificate and the name in your passport or your current ID.
Right.
So this happens with a lot of women who have been married once or multiple times and they changed their last name. So the document requirements are going to change because we have to create a timeline of which was your name at birth and how did we get to the name that you have right now.
So basically you're going to do your due diligence for me. You're going to be like, Michael, this, and this, and then you come in.
Exactly.
If everything is right.
Once I know the state of your situation, what do you need the documents for? Which documents do you need? I'm going to ask for your personal information and start the procurement of the documents.
And I don't have to leave. I can be here in Costa Rica, and that's basically what the service is. I don't have to leave. You're going to get the things I need for me.
Exactly. And I'm going to take all the headaches. I'm going to take all the angry phone calls with the different embassies, and I'm going to take all your problems so that you can just be here enjoying Costa Rica while I get your documents as efficiently as possible.
You know, I should say, guys, you know, you can get your residency yourself. You can do this stuff yourself, but I can also say what she just said is very true. It can be very stressful getting your documents, arguing on the phone. Hey, I did this last week. Why haven't you? It's all that. If I would have had this service 18 years ago, I would have, I don't care what it cost. I would have done it because I just like, you do it. You do it. I don't want nothing to do with it. Tell me when you're done.
Yeah, it's a very bureaucratic process, and it changes all the time. Like sometimes I just wonder whether they're gonna get their stuff together because they change the rules midway all the time. And the idea is that you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to think about it. I'm going to take all those problems away from you, and I'm going to get your documents here as soon as possible.
Is there anything you can't get? Is there something that I might have to do that's going to bum me out that I have to do it?
Yeah. For example, there are some countries that require you to only be the person that allows the document to be sent. So, for example, Canada doesn't allow me to be, even if I have a POA, it doesn't allow me.
Wait. What's the POA?
A power of attorney.
Okay, yeah.
Even if I have a power of attorney, Canada won't let me get your documents. So what I do is that I show you how to procure your documents online so that you don't have to leave the country. And I give you an address so that I can get them in my Canadian office. And then I'll do the process.
Okay, so for this instance with Canada, I am going to have to be involved to some extent. Now, what about the United States?
With the United States, all I need is your personal information, and I'll get your forms. Now, for the United States and Canada too, those are the biggest ones. When I'm trying to get your background check, your RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police background check, if it's Canada, or FBI, if it's in the US, I'm going to need your fingerprints. So that's also a step that we have to follow. We'll probably have to have an appointment where I take your fingerprints.
But that would be here.
That would be here in Costa Rica.
And also, you need your fingerprints when you start the residency thing anyway. You need to get those prints anyway, right?
Those are different. So I like to think of them like the fingerprints I'm getting is for Costa Rica to know your past.
Okay.
While the fingerprints you have to get in the police here in Costa Rica, it's for Costa Rica to know your future.
Okay, I don't want to confuse everybody.
Exactly.
All right. So, okay, thank you for clearing that up.
So what the fingerprints that I get for the RCMP and FBI, it's so that we can get the background check of those countries, and Costa Rica can see if maybe you have committed a crime or a felony, or if not. And the reason why they take the fingerprints in the process of immigration in the police here in Costa Rica, it's so that if you commit a crime in Costa Rica, then they have your prints in the system.
So if I'm understanding this right, so Canada, I'm going to be involved a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're going to walk me through it.
Yeah, of course.
And then United States, I'm not as involved except for the fingerprints, and you're going to do it.
Exactly. And with other countries, there's also the possibility that we need to sign documents. So of course, I'll pre-fill all the documents, and then we can have an appointment where you double check that everything that I've pre-filled is correct, and then you sign it. And
so what about some of the others? I would say some of the other countries that I get emails from that people want to leave would be Germany.
Yep.
Poland.
Yeah.
Not as many, but Poland.
Yeah.
But Germany a lot.
Okay.
So
Germany I can do. Yes.
What about, so you
I have a list. I don't know them all because I have a list of over 35 countries where I can get documents.
Right.
That even includes, right now, I'm working with a customer who needs documents from Belarus, which is an Eastern country at war right now. So we're looking for different options that we can pursue so that we can get their documents. But even if your country is not in my list of 35 plus countries, I'll still do my research, and I'll let you know if it's possible, how much of involvement you need, and how much risk there is, and if it's worth it.
Risk, what's that mean? What do you mean risk?
Well, some countries, mostly Middle Eastern countries, it's very hard to find vendors that you can totally trust to give them your personal information.
And your money.
And your money, exactly. So that's a potential risk. Or the shipping is a risk as well. So there's places where even though there's places where it's not so that much. I wouldn't recommend that much.
Well, mostly it's going to be United States, Canada, Germany. What about and what about like Philippines? That comes up a lot here with me too. Philippines.
So
or Asian countries.
We have an office space in Washington D.C. and it's a very strategic office right there because Washington D.C. has a lot of embassies. So if the embassy, again, if the country is not on my list, which Philippines is not, but if the embassy allows us to get the documents through them, then we can do the legalization process or apostille process, depending of if the country has apostille or not. We can do that process right there in DC.
Obviously I know there's variables and it depends on stuff, but what would be the kind of the timeline? If I call you, I'm from the United States, I need my paperwork, generally, what's the time frame we're looking at?
Okay, so most of the documents we get are from the US and from Canada, and those can vary starting with procurement of the document all the way to the apostille or legalization, depending if it's a US document or a Canadian. It can go to 2 to 4 months. It's a lengthy process. That's going to depend.
Laura, everything's a lengthy process here.
Yes. That's of course going to depend on the specific state that we're working with. There's states that are a little bit trickier. New York City, not being even a state, but New York City, it's trickier than most because they require a notary stamp, and they do not accept e-notaries. So for New York City, if you're a New York City resident and we need to get your birth certificate from the New York City, we'll probably have to get an appointment for you in the embassy in the US here, because that's the only US soil within Costa Rica that a notary can sign and stamp.
Right.
So there's streams like that, and there's also places like, I believe it was Oregon, where vital information, it's public, and I just call and say, hey, I need this birth certificate, and they just send it.
So obviously it depends on the state, was what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I know what you guys are thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're like, Michael, how much does it cost? Well, you know what? I'm not really going to tell you because I've learned a lot. One, it dates the video and cost can change. There's going to be too many variables. There's going to be too many. It depends on this. So if you are interested in maybe Laura helping you or using their service, email me. I will shoot it over to her and you guys can discuss it. I'm not trying to like, oh, I'm not going to tell you the price. I'm just telling you, I would do it no matter what the price, only because I hate that crap. So maybe you feel different, you're budgeting and all that kind of stuff, but we're not going to do the price here because in 2 years, you're going to look at the video, you're going to go, you said it was this price, Michael. So
yeah, I know. That happens.
I know. So if you just want some information about it, email me, info@travelcostarica.com. I will get it to Laura. Is there anything else is there any other questions maybe I forgot?
I don't think so. Oh, just to clarify, as we were talking about, the apostille is one of the processes that we can do. But what happens with all the countries that are not part of the Hague Convention? The process, it's lengthier. The legalization process requires every country involved to have a consulate within that soil, the soil of that particular country. So if, for example, you need a document from the Philippines and they don't have the apostille, which I'm not sure right now, I would have to double check. But if they're not part of the Hague Convention and they also don't have a Costa Rican consulate within that country, then it's a lengthier process because we have to get that document legalized with a friendly nation, such I like to use the US because I think there's US embassies and consulates everywhere. And as I was saying, in DC, we have a lot of embassies. So yeah, we would have to start the legalization process from the Philippines to the US. And then within the US, we have to start a new one for Costa Rica.
Laura, you know, whatever you just said, my head spinning is the reason I don't want to do this. This is why this is why do that. I don't care. Do it.
Okay.
No, I just played. Anyway, anything else? I can't.
I think that's it.
All right. So, again, guys, if you're interested, shoot me an email. Get it to her, Laura. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Peace, guys. Hope it helps. Things are going to pop up if you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere. Always do your homework and research. And if it's got something to do with Costa Rica, I'm going to say our channel. Peace. Ciao.